Hives, Kamon, Reynolds. It is a gorgeous time of the year. Look at all that pollen the bees are bringing in. Most of it's yellow, and I'm pretty sure it's coming from the Bradford pears and a couple other different types of plants. And you'll see the occasional red or orange in there from the dead nettle, but you know, bees really focus on whatever's the most profitable. So you can have 4 or 5 things blooming, but if one of them's really putting it out, they are going to focus on that particular plant until there's no more. And that's just smart on the bees' part, just taking advantage of those opportunities while they're there. So they're really working hard today. All 3 of these colonies are just massive, and we're going to get into them and see what they need, because some of them might need feed, some of them may have too much feed. There's just a lot of things that happen in the spring, and no 2 colonies are quite alike. Alright, let's get this vellum. So this colony, if I remember correctly, was a little bit on the light side last time I was in it. Let's pop this. Yeah, nice bunch of bees right there. Smoke those up and smoke those down so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on. You can tell a lot from the bottoms of the combs. I'm not seeing any swarm cells, and typically when that starts, now this colony, I'd say we're only about a week or 2 away from them starting to make swarm cells. I can't believe we're already at that point, but I'm not seeing anything right now that says they're starting. But trust me, with all this pollen coming in, with the red buds starting to bloom, and if they produce a good bit of nectar and we keep having some good days, this colony's in just a handful of weeks is going to be way bigger than it is now, because the queens are still building up that population. It's not going to be long and this colony is going to be wanting to swarm, which is healthy for the colony as far as they need to reproduce, they need to split. But as beekeepers, we go ahead and if we're keeping them, we're actually going to make that split or do something automatically so we give them the best chances of survival. Some people like to let their bees just swarm. I prefer, again, to just make a split so they get a nice cavity and get well taken care of. Let's just go ahead and start here on the top. Oh, nice. Very nice. We're not that close to our honey flow either. I mean, we're getting there, but our prime honey flow still, I'd say with the weather this year, 3 weeks away from the early stages of a decent honey flow. So we've got to make sure that they don't swarm between now and then. So we might actually take a frame of brood out of this colony and give it to a deserving colony. And if we find that that's the case, we'll show you what a deserving colony looks like. Let's see if we can get one of these frames out. I tell you, this hive is just full of bees. Just gorgeous. This frame is pretty light right here. And it is mostly just foodstuffs. That's a really nice frame right there. Now I'd say most of this is the thin syrup that we fed last week through the frame feeder. This colony was the one that was light over here. Didn't have a lot of extra food. So I'm not seeing the queen on that one. We'll set that one down. Now we have room to work with. I'm just going to smoke those bees. The more bees there are, the more you got to watch out for. Alright, so we're getting some good brood over here. We're getting eggs all the way up here in the top. We have capped brood towards the bottom center in different stages. That's excellent. We have drone brood down towards the bottom right here that they are capping. Many people ask me when we start raising queens. This is about the time that we usually start. I feel like we're a little behind. I have learned, let's not push the season. Because when you do that, some years it works and some years it doesn't. I don't like wasting all that energy that the bees are giving us whenever we make our mating nukes or splits, and then wasting it on a period that's too early for high levels of success. So I'm not in any rush. We try to work with what nature deals us for that year. It's hard to live with sometimes, but you just do whatever you have to. What a gorgeous frame of brood right there. Wow, like I said, this colony is just a couple days away from thinking about swarming. We have lots of fuzzy bees up in here. So these bees emerged out of a cell sometime today. They're fuzzy like that. By the second, this colony is getting larger. It is just expanding at an exponential rate. So right here we have a queen cup, and right now it's not being used. If this colony started to swarm though, that could be a possible location. Typically swarm cells are more towards the bottom, but they will use that. And just look at that perfect frame right there. Oh my goodness, just in this frame right here, we're talking thousands of bees. There's about 7,000 something cells in a deep frame. I'd say this is 90% occupied. Holy smokes. Bee power. We'll probably pull this frame of brood from this colony, to be honest. Let's see what we have. And we've got to, because again, our honey flow, if this is a honey production hive, we cannot let this colony swarm on us. And if we want to keep it around for that, this is just also full of brood, different stages, a lot of drone brood towards the bottom of the comb. And more of the same over here. And the queen has already started laying down in those that's just crazy. So we have an emerging bee right here coming out of a cell. And the queen is already, I see some eggs up in here, so she might even be on this frame. I actually haven't been looking for her. I've been so entranced with the brood and the amount of bees that I haven't been paying attention for. Shame on me, right? But that was a gorgeous frame as well. And let's just go one more over. And this is just the top box, mind you. Might be a good idea to rotate this one. Another great frame. Okay, so look down in here. Look at all these bee bottoms down here, these abdomens sticking out. You know what that is? Those are bees that have emerged recently, and they're going down in there and they're cleaning out the cells around the area where they emerged out of, and prepping those for the queen to lay in. So there's a bunch over here. Wow, that's just awesome. So yeah, there is tons of brood in here, tons of bees. Let's drop down to the next box and see what we have, because all right, this one's just food, so I don't worry about keeping that one out. If there's a lot of brood below, I want to take that really nice 90% frame of capped brood, and I want to give that to a young colony that is deserving. And we'll show you what that is. I have a decent bit of weight up in here. It's not as much as I would like. We're just going to kind of set this over here. Whoop. Now there might not be a whole lot down in here. It might be pretty empty. We might need to rotate these boxes in order to give the queen more room to lay, because that top box was very full. We're just going to shoot right on down to the heart of the problem and see what we can find. Just gauging from what I can see out of the top, I think there's quite a bit of laying room down in here. Yeah, that feels really light. Well, there's some larvae over here. There's a ton of pollen that's being packed into these cells, which is excellent. I'm seeing capped brood on the adjacent frame to the left. And this, let me readjust. And yeah, there's a lot of brood in this frame, young brood. So the queen is dropping down in here. Let's set this one to the side and see what we can get. So this is the one that I said that had the capped brood on it. I'm just going to see how much is occupied here. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. The next frame over has capped brood as well. Look at that brood. Oh my goodness. I find it interesting that some of the colonies, like the one that we did a video on recently on reversing, needed to be reversed because they didn't have hardly anything in the bottom. And you have colonies like this where the queen is going up and down and doing a great job. I can't tell you why that is, it just is. Some colonies are a little bit different than others. So that is a fantastic frame of brood right there. Let's, excuse me, keep looking. All right, so this is more of an edge frame, second from the very edge. So typically you're going to see a lot of pollen in these frames. Let's see what we get. Lots of brood. Lots of brood. So I'm just seeing tons of larvae. They're going to be capping this quickly. In the next couple days, all of this will probably be capped. And wow, the queen has just been laying away in here. And we are just seeing tons of bee bread up in top. Capped brood, young larvae fixing to be capped. Lots of pollen baskets they're packing around that brood. So this colony really has it going. We're going to have to pull a frame of brood from this colony, that's for sure. I'm just going to check one more frame over in here and just see what we have. Now this is a nasty looking frame. It was an old budget frame if I remember right, and it is really crooked. And what I'm seeing right here is basically pollen, a little bit of nectar, and that is it. Okay, so that probably means that these frames over here to the right of this are just being used as storage space. So if we have any empty combs, it's going to be over in here. We could take those and rotate some of those up if we felt like we wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and pull a frame of capped brood though from this colony and replace it with a frame of drawn comb. So let's put this bottom area together so that we can take care of that. All right. There's so many bees over here. There we go. You can see some of the sugar syrup that we have been feeding. They must have just cleared that out. See, you have some of the droplets right there. I just came through and fed not too long ago, and I think they've just started clearing all the feeders out. This feeder's dry though. Ugh. Good looking colony. Let's find that 90% frame and then we are going to take it over to a nice colony. Now if we were in the middle, I mean, you have to know your season, right? Again, I'm not expecting decent nectar and flows for about 3 weeks. We want our colonies peaking right at that point. We don't want them swarming prior to that. We want to avoid swarming. And some of our biggest colonies are ahead of where they need to be, which is great. We can use those to make little mating nukes. We can help colonies that could be good honey production colonies if they just have a little bit of a boost. And when I say a little bit of a boost, when we give them a frame like this that is loaded with brood, this is not the one I was wanting. Let's try that again. All right, Laurel, we can edit that, right? All right, we gotta make it look like I know exactly where everything is all the time. Okay, yes, let's just try this again. Frames like this. Yes, there, see, that's more powerful looking. We are talking about a big boost on that little colony. This is all it takes. All right, so we had some technical difficulties, but essentially, we're taking this gorgeous frame of capped brood. I've shaken about 80% of the bees off, and that way I don't have to worry about finding the queen so much, and I feel like the colony I'm going to give this to should be able to keep this warm. Plus it's in the capped brood stage, so they won't have to do any manual labor as far as individually feeding it. All that work's been done, it's just keeping it warm now. Weather forecast looks really nice, average highs in the upper 50s to low 60s. So I'm confident that this will be good for that colony. You'll see what kind of colony we're going to give it to, and I'm going to replace that frame with this brood comb from a a dead out, and the queen will be able to use this right away. So we're really retarding swarming. I'm going to stick this off to the side. I don't want to split the brood up, so the brood frames are left over here. This is a food frame and another food frame. So this will be at the edge, and the queen can expand over in here. This is going to do really good things for keeping this colony together, not swarming, and it's going to really help this little colony. So let's show you what kind of colony we want to give this frame to. These colonies were two that we split off of a three-way mating nuke that we had over here for videos last year. At the last round we had two of them that came back with queens, and we just combined the third that did not have with the two of them and beefed them up over late summer and fall. So this is one of the colonies right here, and they look pretty good, I think, and the last time I looked at them. And we're just going to pull this pollen patty off. There's a little bit of small hive beetle larvae in it. But let's see how this colony is doing. Just going to get to the middle of it. And I know I have a nice young queen in here. It's really nice. There's a good pattern in here, one of our young queens. Looking really good right there. This colony just needs a little bit of a boost. I'm going to stick this over here. Let's check this next frame out. Yeah. So check that nice brood pattern right there. A lot of emerging bees coming out. We've got this nice pattern here. This colony is definitely smaller than the last colony that we were in. The other one is ready to go for honey production. Pretty much anything we want. We want to use it for splits, raising queens. It's got the power to do it. This one right here has got the potential to do it. And we have a certain percentage of colonies in this yard, probably, I don't know, 20% of our colonies at least, 25, that are a little ahead of the game. And that's great. And we can do that, use that to help these younger colonies that have nice brood patterns like this. And this right in here, there's calf brood on the next frame over, so there's already several great frames of brood. Now we're going to add at least another 5,000 bees to this colony, and it's just going to catch up, and it's going to be a honey production size colony. That is incredible. Look at this right here. I scraped some off. Those are small hive beetle eggs right there underneath that patty. Tons of them. This is one of the most infested small hive beetle hives that I have in the entire yard, but it started off the year pretty small, but it's building up nicely. So we might even use a trap in this one to kind of lower the populations down. So anyways, this colony, I would say right now, has 4 frames of brood, nice looking patterns. I don't want to give this brood to a queen that has iffy patterns. This colony's going. So I'm going to add this frame. I'm going to take probably this edge frame right here, because they're not using it. I'm just going to pull it out. Yeah, there's hardly anything in that at all. And we're just going to scoop all of these things to the edge right here. And I've got this hive marked down as a 2020 queen, one of ours we raised for the videos last year. She's doing a great job. Colony's a little small, but they went into winter kind of small. Went into winter with about, I don't know, 7 frames of bees. She's laying great. They're building great. Now we're going to throw this frame right in here off to the edge of that last frame of brood. And we're going to come back to this colony probably within about, I don't know, I'd say 5 days. because they haven't quite filled out all the way over here, but this colony, because of that brood and all that other brood, is going to build up rapidly, and we're going to have to get a second deep box on here. I've got drawn combs, so that's easy for me. We can always, but say, hey, you know, if we want to build it a little bit more, we can grab another frame of brood from another big colony, and you can stack that and make this a honey production colony. Again, I've got drawn comb, so I'm going to be able to just add drawn comb as much as I need to. But that's basically how we determine which hives to help. Great laying patterns, all the things that we need to see. They're just a little bit smaller because of the conditions. We made them late in the year last year. So anyways, that's basically one of the tools that we use to keep our big colonies from swarming on us, get our nice little colonies that have lots of potential up to speed so they can maximize their full potential this year, and kind of get our cake and eat it too. Some queens don't deserve this though. If you have any questions about the queen quality on that pattern, don't waste your brood on those queens. Find a colony that deserves it, because it could be that queen's just no good. You throw that frame in there, and yeah, it'll give them a little bit of a boost, but they won't take it and fully utilize it. And you could have maybe used that frame for a split or something more deserving. Anyways, I hope this hasn't been too confusing of a video, but that is what we're doing right now, is going through our champs, boosting up the ones that have potential, knocking out swarming, and getting us more honey production colonies than we would have out of these smaller hives. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.